I don't know. I'd say that I have a pretty uh, interesting relationship to the rain. I love the rain. I think that the rain is, in a sense, therapeutic. I love to read when it's raining. I was gonna say that I love to read in the rain. That'd be kind of difficult. My book would get wet. But no, I love reading when it's raining, and I guess I think it comes from sort of enjoying alone time, and I think I enjoy my alone time the most when it's raining, because I feel that everything's sort of just at ease. Everything's just sort of calm, and I feel things everywhere sort of calmer when it's raining. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with nature, with being more in touch with nature, or water being one of the five. I don't know. Because air is too, so is being sunny outside. So that doesn't make sense. But I don't know. There's something about rain. There's a word for the smell of concrete when it's raining outside. One time when I was about, I think I must have been 9 years old, 10, maybe 11. I used to live in the Bronx on a street called Victor Street, and my friend Hilaire, it's pouring rain outside. It just started pouring rain. I used to do that often. Anyway, so it starts pouring rain, and we would always usually be sitting on the stoop of the building. We'd talk about just bizarre things that kids talk about, but we'd have interesting conversations. Hilaire's older brother went to St. John's, and he took a lot of interesting courses, and we were all younger, so he'd always come home and say like, "Oh, I learned about this thing, like my teachers, da 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 da." And I think that day we were speaking about presidents, something in that field. And so anyways, it starts pouring rain outside, and Hilaire says, I'm gonna run around the block." And I was like, "You're crazy, it's pouring." And he goes, "No, I'm gonna run around the block, and I'm gonna take my shirt off." And I said, "You're nuts, you're gonna get sick," because it was sort of cold. I think it was around this time of year, November-ish, December-ish. And he takes off his shirt and he starts running. And he just starts running, but it was the strongest pouring rain I remember, because we all did it. And I just remember the rain sort of hitting me, just my back and my head, and the raindrops hurt. That's how hard it was raining. I don't know. That's a memory that I have of the rain. That day wasn't so pleasant. I don't know. It was kind of fun. It feels like the rain is sort of like this mysterious force that's just happening. Yeah. The rain is good. I love the rain. I think it's something I've been speaking about lately too. I think other people love the rain as well, and other people don't enjoy it. That's with all things. But the people, I've been telling people, like, I'm doing this documentary about rain and my relationship to it. And they'll say, "Oh, that's interesting. I love the rain." "Oh, I love the rain." And other people love the rain too. I guess I'm curious to know what it is about the rain. I wonder if it brings people a feeling, a melancholy feel to our days, and I don't know. It also reminds me of London, and shade, and gloominess in a sense. And it's very descriptive. I think that there's something very literary about rain, and I think that literature is an important. It definitely. I think literature plays a big part in my life, and I think there's something about the rain that brings me to a very literary place in my mind and space. I think it also sort of just clears my mind, It's sort of like doing yoga when I just listen to rain. Um, when I listen to the rain fall. Or often when I hear the rain, when I'm experiencing rain, I think of a book called Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell, and it's one of my favorite books. And maybe that's another aspect to it. But I think the rain makes folks more pensive. Some. I think the rain could also make people depressed. I think it has that potential. But who knows? There's I'm not sure of the definition, but I heard about this recently, and it's when people during the darker months, when it gets darker earlier, which is like now December. In the winter, people get depressed when it gets darker, and I forgot the name of it, but someone told me a story recently that you can buy a light. Someone can buy a light, and the light will sort of brighten up your mood if you stay under it for 20 minutes or so. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. The rain, water. I think water is something about water, maybe. I remember this one time I was in the kitchen when I was younger with my mom. We used to live on a street called Thayer Street, Manhattan. And we were in the kitchen, and she had a pot under the sink, and the water was running, but it was only running slightly. And the water was running, and there was rice inside of the pot. She was making rice. She was about to make rice. So there was rice inside of the pot, and the water was running, and the water was running slightly. And I remember the sound of the water hitting as the pot got fuller, and it just started to make this like this sort of drop sound into the water, and it was such a I think I remember telling my mom, like, that sound is really, and it's interesting because I was only 5 or so, and I just remember telling her, like, that sounds like a waterfall. And I hadn't thought about this for a really long time. I actually think maybe this is the first time that I've thought about it since that happened when I was younger, but I remember thinking it was sort of like a tiny waterfall, like I pictured like a little waterfall, like one of those electric ones, and just the water falling off of the rocks into the water and making that sound. But I remember the sound being very sort of just calming and soothing, and I remember what it made me feel. It just made me feel like everything was at ease. And no, now that I'm older and I read about Buddhism and things of that nature, it feels strange to know that. I guess it's just like a universal feeling. Some things we know about, we experience them. Some things we don't know about, we still experience them. One thing that I learned, I think I told my teacher told me this. He said, "Nothing is new under the sun." I think that's the name of it. I think that's what the saying says. But nothing's new under the sun, and it's like any thought that we've ever thought of, someone already has a word for it. And that might not necessarily hold true entirely. Some things that I think we still have to find out and explore. But I just remember being younger and finding out about certain concepts or articulating a certain concept to someone, and then they saying like, "Oh yeah, that's called relativity and yada yada." And I'm like, "Oh, there's a word for that. There's like an entire study for it. There's like 500,000 books on it." And like, professors and PhDs have written dissertations on it. It's just interesting that there's so many things to be discovered and to be explored, and I think the best time to explore them is in the rain. Yeah, there's a book called Siddhartha by Herman Hesse, if I'm not mistaken, and this book is about a boy who's sort of becoming a man, and he's entering adulthood, and he wants to explore, and his father is sort of, I wouldn't say he's the emperor, but he's sort of the king of the village in their religion. I'm not sure what it's called, but so Siddhartha's next in line to sort of take over. But Siddhartha doesn't want to do that. He wants to explore the world and find new things and just live, really, gain experience and knowledge, instead of just do, what is in the chain of what's set up for him to do, which is to run this town or village.